for episode number 3, this will be the last history series, and then we'll get into the real stuff as the demo starts. So we've been through 3 architects. That might sound unusual, but there's a reason we actually went through 3 architects. So the first one, architect number 1, it was a pure renovation. We were in renovation mode at this point, and we were definitely going to renovate, keeping all the walls and keeping all the bones of the building. That didn't work out, so we went to architect number 2, and that again we started off with the renovation because we weren't that happy with the first one, and then realized halfway through that we were actually not worth renovating as per part 2 of this video. And then we went to the demo and new build with architect number 2, and then at the end of architect number 2 we actually got planning permission, and then started to look at the layout of the house and thought, there's a lot of wasted space, a lot of dead areas, quite a big build with a lot of glass. And so we went and architect number 3. Architect number 3 is a passive house design that's energy efficient, all sealed, and this is the house we've ended up with, architect number 3. So what I'll run is I'll run through each of the architects in turn and give the comments as I finish off. So here's architect number 1. The black on this drawing is all the original walls. So you can see here the house was basically preserved as it was. We added a master bedroom on the back, a study on the side. The patio essentially stayed where it was, and then we filled in the garage on the front. And then the house was structured around that. We actually lifted up the area here so it was all one level, and then had a little al fresco area out the front. So again, it was very similar to what we've got, but we've restructured it all. The house was sort of beachy design, colour bond or plank cladding, had a colour bond roof, and that's the patio at the front. So this is looking at the front, looking east. This is looking from the north, I think, and then this is looking out the back. So this architect, we didn't really get a feeling that there was much buy-in to what we were trying to achieve. There wasn't a lot of engagement. We didn't really like the house at the end of the day where we ended up, and so we went to architect number 2. So architect number 1, we didn't like what was proposed. The architect didn't seem to be overly committed to the job. I think they had other work going on TV and bigger jobs, and so we sort of let that person go, and so architect number 1 was finished. So the next one was architect number 2. So here we are with architect number 2. Here's the house design, the existing house here. So the black again is the original house, that's north up that way and west that way. So you can see here we were essentially keeping half the house and then rebuilding the other half. I think that was the demolition, the blue, and the black was what we were keeping. I think that's where we ended up. So we kept a lot of the rear structure here. We've obviously filled this section in here to a master bedroom. This section became dining room and kitchen, and then al fresco out the back. So the one thing we didn't like about this was just the size of it, the proximity to the kitchen, to the living area, a bit bitty around the back here. Again, we were trying to fit the existing bones of the house into a new design. As we were going through this, I actually started to renovate this back room here, because one of the plans was we were going to renovate this as a granny flat and then live in this as the rest of the house was getting worked on. So as I started to peel away this room here, it became obvious that, as in part 2 I've shown, that the house wasn't worth saving. There was just too much wrong with it to actually work on it, and it was basically a knockdown job. So architect number 2 is quite a modern design, a lot of architectural features as you see here, you know, stone pillars and big glass windows. So this bit here would all be new. The bit at the back was the bit we were saving. And basically the reason we stopped this one was the cost of the renovation. I think we were quoted about $1 million for a renovation. And when you looked at the house, he said, nah, it's not worth $1 million to renovate this house. So architect number 2, renovation, was stopped. We did like working with this architect, and so we asked him to then have a think about a second design, a new build, an up, down, and new build. So again, architect number 2, semi-renovation, better design, but we've discovered it was not worth renovating as per the video part 2. So then we went to architect number 2, well, let's build a new house and let's see what that looks like. So architect number 2, new house, it came up with this L shape, and you'll recognize similar finish in the next one. Interesting thing about this is we had a corridor down here on the north, so the light from the north was shining in the corridor, not the bedrooms. And so it started to make me think there's a lot of dead area in this one, and maybe this is not the best use of area and cost. It was also a lot of glass, which is, of course, in Western Australia, it's hard to keep everything cool in the summer. And so this one here, although we liked it, we thought, we're not sure of the use of space, the layout. And at this point in time, I started to become interested in energy efficient houses. And it became obvious that this was not an energy efficient house. And so architect number 2, although it was a nice design, you can see here there's less architectural features, a little bit simpler. Still a very simple layout and design. We decided that no, we're not going to build this either. It's not efficient. It's not energy efficient. And so we liked it, but there was a lot of dead space, concerned about the practical use of that space in the sun. And we also became aware of energy passive house design around about this time. And so we then moved to architect number 3. So here we have architect number 3. We've got an L-shaped block, north up the top, west out there again. This is the front of the house from the road view anyway. So we've ended up with dining room here, so I really like the dining room separate to the lounge room. Polished concrete floors all through. 3 bedrooms in the back here, master and 2 bedrooms. Master bathroom, study, laundry up here, double carport, hidden pantry in here, guest toilet, and coats and the air circulation system coming from here. We did have a dog door, but I think we've deleted that since. The thing also to notice about this is the patio area is quite small. So one of the things I did like is when we were talking to the architect, he said, why do people design these massive outdoor alfresco areas when you can just open up your dining area and then have your dining area and your outdoor essentially connected? So we did like that idea, and it became obvious as we were talking through it. So we've ended up with a smaller alfresco area, but an area that can be opened up completely. The other thing we ended up with was a pool. So the pool was an addition in architect number 3. My wife decided she liked a pool. But the other thing that we had a problem with here is the sewer head. So this is where the sewer is in the northeast. So the sewer did cause a lot of problems for us, mainly because you can't build over a sewer. So all the plumbing is tied down to this area here. This is a retaining wall, so we had to step the retaining wall in, and I think the retaining wall might actually interfere a bit with the pool here, so we might have to shuffle the pool a little bit this way. But anyway, this was energy passive design, all wood. We really liked this layout. We worked a lot on it. We've got all the fixtures and fittings designed. and very simple looking front. Front of the house looks very simple with a front door, garage here, and so architect number 3 is the one we've eventually landed on. Good engagement, lots of back and forward in design ideas. The inside has been fully specified, and the architect also has his own builder. So we've got a builder as well selected, planning permissions approved, building permissions approved, and we're all ready to go. So architect number 3, I think we've ended up in a really good place, energy efficient house, and we're all ready to go. So as I said there, better designed house that was more compact, which means lower cost, less dead space, more energy efficient, and much simpler design all round. So I think we've ended up in a good place, although it might seem unusual to go through 3 architects. I think we had good reasons for popping across the boundary of each one, and this is the one we've gone with, and we're off on the building journey. So as I said at the beginning, this is the last history lesson. Episode number 4, or video number 4, will be the practical aspects of looking at the demolition, and from the demolition forward. So thanks very much for watching, and I hope you've enjoyed this brief history lesson of episodes 1, 2 and 3. And now let's move into the getting moving stage. Thank you very much.